landing I have ever been through. Like, you
Really?
didn't even feel it. It was crazy.
Wow.
He must have spent some extra time in the simulator.
I don't know. Spirit, man. Coming up.
All right, there's the ringing endorsement. All right, looks like we are going live. So, hello, everyone. This is Trends with Benefits. This is our weekly live stream podcast where we air on YouTube and Facebook Live. And then also we have an audio podcast that goes up afterward that you can find on iTunes and all kinds of different places. And so we got a bunch of things we're going to be talking about today, and we really want to have you guys interact with us. So if you are watching live, please hop in there into the chat. Let us know what you want to talk about. We've got a few different things we're going to cover today, mainly focusing on what we're going to see in tech and what the trends are for this year, for 2017. You know, we've kind of know what happened last year. I mean, we just had CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, which is what we were talking about that we came back from. All of us here at DT got going to Portland got delayed for I don't know how long. It just seemed, it felt like a week, but maybe it was a day. I don't even know because of a snowstorm
We're
here.
still there, actually.
We could still be there. But we are going to talk about that and some of the cool things that we saw at CES that will be coming out this year. And we want to know what you're excited about, what you want to talk about. And so why don't we introduce our roundtable here right now. I'm Greg Nibbler, your host, and to my right.
Drew Prindle.
And
I am Caleb Dennison.
And Caleb Dennison. We may have a fourth member joining us at some point. We'll see what happens. We're just going to kind of roll with this.
Pop on in.
Pop on in.
It's the kind of podcast we do. It's the pop-in podcast.
That's what it is. You're going to get some pop-ins. So anyway, talking about this, you know, with 2017 and maybe CES, if you followed along with that, what did you see that you were excited about? What was the one thing that you saw during this over the last couple of weeks that you saw revealed that you're like, this is the year I want to buy this. I want to get involved with this. Maybe it was a VR headset, or maybe it's you really want an autonomous car. We're going to talk about all those things. But first off, let's talk about a couple of things that we saw at CES. And if you followed our live coverage, then you know that we now have a part cyborg on staff, and that is Drew Prindle over here. So one of the segments and I'm going to have him explain what the company was, but Drew was implanted with something, and he is now no longer fully human. And this is the technology that could be coming to you, and I want to know if you guys would do this. But maybe, Drew, you can explain exactly what you did over this. What did you do?
All right, so in a nutshell, I got not one but two RFID transponders implanted into my hands. So there's one in my right and there's one in my left. One of them is NFC, so it's on the 13.56 megahertz frequency band. The other one is 125 megahertz frequency band. So one of them works with my phone. I can reprogram it. I can put information on it and basically make it control NFC-compliant electronics. The other one is just like an RFID, it's a certain frequency of RFID, so I can use it. Right now I've got it programmed up to let me into the office. I cloned the key card that we use that we have to swipe in front of the thing and then flash that information onto the thing in my hand. And now I can just wave my hand in front of it and get on the elevator and get into the office.
It's like you have a fob inserted into your hand
basically.
now.
But it's totally reprogrammable. If I ever stop working here, I can reprogram it to do different things to let me into like other places. So it's not just like a one-time thing.
Sounds like you're planning on a whole crime spree after this. Like, I can program it for whatever I want. And I want to reiterate this. If you're watching right now and listening, he had it implanted into his hand. There's a video of it, of this happening live at our stage at CES with some guy showing up with a needle, a giant needle, and shoving it into his hand.
Did he numb you up at all?
No.
Dang.
He didn't numb you?
No, there was no numbing. He put a little bit of stuff called ChloraPrep on it, which was basically to sterilize the area before he put it in. The whole package, the needle, the injector assembly is all sterilized and prepackaged.
Is he like
safe.
a licensed medical professional or just some dude with a big ass syringe?
Not licensed at all. There's actually a second video that I think Holly shot it.
He sure seems
and she asked, she's
himself.
like, "Do you need to have any sort of like certifications to do this stuff?" He's like, "No, you just got to be crazy enough to sign up for it." And the thing is, this guy Emil Grafstra has been. His company Dangerous Thing. He's been making these implants.
What's the name of the company again?
Dangerous Things. Which is so
sure,
sweet.
Shove me with the needle. All right.
But he's had this company for years, and it started just because he saw these people, this increasing interest in like the biohacking space and body augmentation and all of this stuff. But people were doing it in this awful way. Like, I think there's a video on Vice of a guy like cutting open his arm and putting this huge box in it, and it's it tracks all of his medical data and stuff like that. And Abel saw this kind of stuff happening kind of in the underground scene before it was big and thought, nobody's doing this properly. Nobody's doing it professionally, so I'm going to be the guy to do it. So he came in and he has this super official garage lab where he makes all of this stuff. And it's really well-designed stuff. It's just really small little RFID transponders encased in biocompatible glass and gas sterilized and shipped off to whoever wants to put them in their hand. And you can have them implanted by either him or any tattoo or piercing artist.
Wow. And so you had this, and I've got a question already, actually, on YouTube here. Sebastian is asking, question for Drew, is it open or closed RFID?
I believe it's open.
You do, wait, he doesn't implant
I don't know what you mean. Like, I really don't know what you mean by that.
Okay.
I guess I don't know enough about RFID. All I know is I can reprogram it and as many times as I want to. It only works for a specific frequency band, and it only works with a certain subset of readers.
Okay.
I want you to put like Apple Pay on that thing and then walk into McDonald's and just be like, Big Mac. Bing.
So apparently
Get that on video while
can't
you're
do
at it.
payments on it.
Now,
He
is that
does-
something that it could be upgraded to, that you could do payments?
He has
or-
a different implant that you can do that with. The thing
Okay.
is, he's got the technology to do it. He can make an implant that will interface with NFC, like touchless payment terminals and stuff like that. The hard part apparently is getting like the back end of all of that.
Okay.
You have to be linked in with like banks and all of these things so the transactions can be processed.
Gotcha.
And nobody wants to work with somebody who's not pushing like millions
Who
of
has a
units.
super official garage lab. Well, I didn't know that was a thing, by the way.
Yeah, I think part of it is like having a big enough like user base to make it
Right.
worthwhile,
Uh-huh.
and not enough people are signing up to have these things implanted in their hands. Maybe if it was like a bracelet or something non-invasive, more people might get behind it. But right now, there's not enough people implanting these things in their hands to make it.
There's a shortage of nut jobs out there. Thankfully, we happen to have one on staff here at Digital
Yes.
Trends.
Yeah, who got not one but two implants. And I'm seeing some more questions come in. So again, if you're just tuning in right now, Drew had 2 chips implanted into his hands at CES. If you haven't seen the needle video, I don't know if you need to see it again. We already aired it once. But there are some questions here about this, and I'm curious if anybody else out there would do this, would want the crazy man from a garage to put an implant in you. No, he's not crazy. I mean, but still, it's a guy in a garage. So Christopher asks, what powers the chip?
So there's no internal like power. It's not like it's harvesting heat from my body and sending off a signal by itself. The way that it works is it's just like a little coil. If you look up how NFC works, it's exactly the same way. It's actually picking up radio frequency energy from the reader, and then it gathers that up in a little coil, and it gets just enough energy to send off a small signal, which it can then be read by the reader.
Okay. So
So
that's
it's totally unpowered. In my hands, there's, right now they're not doing anything until they interface with a reading device.
And you have to have that programmed to do it, to whatever it is the
Yeah.
reading device is. And which we were showing, he can use the elevator here at the offices at DT by just scanning his hand in there. Christopher says, whoa, nice. Would you do it? I'm curious if somebody else out there would be willing to do this.
I had to ask myself that same question. First
Yeah.
of all, tremendously impressed with Drew. When
Oh,
I heard
yeah.
that he was doing this, I was like, "Oh, he's the man." Drew is always doing the crazy stuff at CES, but this topped them all. And I had to ask myself, would I do this myself? Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I would have. I don't have a fear of needles or anything, but that was a gun that they shot up in your business, man. That thing was big. I'm not sure how bad was it, the pain.
I mean, the thing is, I've never gotten any like tattoos or piercings, so I don't have anything to like compare
Right.
it to other than maybe having blood drawn. But even then, I've only done that like a couple times. I don't really remember how big the needle was. But the thing is, it was temporary. Mm-hmm. It was just real quick. Emil was really good at it. He's done like 1,600 of these installs, and he just installs. That's what he calls them. Yeah, it's not like a procedure. It's an install.
He's jabbed 1,600 people with needles.
So he was
Okay.
really good at it. He kind of pinches it, then just stabs it in there, pulls it out. It was no less than 2 seconds, I think, for the whole.
Kind of ripping the Band-Aid off, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Just get it done with.
Exactly. It felt like a bee sting or getting blood drawn.
Now, question though, how do you get it out of there if you decide you don't want
Oh,
this
if I don't
anymore?
want it in there, I gotta cut it out or go into a doctor and just have him be like, "All right, scalpel me, sir." But the thing is, the glass and the casing that it's designed out of, it's made so that it doesn't like really tightly bond to everything inside of like all of your collagen or whatever. So it should come out pretty easily.
So it's just like loosely floating around?
Not loosely
there?
floating around. It's held in place, but it's not. They make certain types of implants that will like root themselves, and they will like graft themselves to your skin and all of your tissue and stuff, and make it really hard to get them out. this is not one of those things. If I want it out, I can just, make a small incision and then pull it out with some tweezers.
All right, that's so disturbing.
Drew volunteered for the mark of the beast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, who knows what this is? Yeah, this is how we get the Manchurian Candidate. That's what you've done. Well, and just to kind of wrap this section up of talking about this. So anybody can do this. You can contact that company and say, I want to be implanted with this.
You can order one of these things online.
You can order the
He probably
kit,
won't come, Emil won't show up to your doorstep and be like, all right, it's time to inject it. But you can take the kit that you buy and then go to, he has a list on his site of like piercing professionals and people who know how to do these installs.
Okay.
And if you can find one of those people near your area, you can have them do it, or just go to somebody you trust, and he has a whole tutorial online that for people that do body modification, they can read up and figure out exactly what they need to know about implanting it, and then just do it for you.
Okay. And Chris, final question on it. Chris asks, can you feel it?
Yeah.
Like right now, you can feel it.
I mean,
in
no,
there,
like
or-
just standing here, not doing anything. No, I can't feel it, but I wish the camera could show you, but you can actually see it.
Oh yeah, I see a little
you
tiny
can see
bump.
the outline of it. This one's a little bit deeper in my hand, but it's really weird. It's just based on your own physiology where they kind of end up, but they're just right there in the meat of your hand.
They just end up.
But no, you can't feel them just hanging out.
It made its way to my pelvis. How odd.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna freak so many people out on the elevator when you're just rubbing your hand on that thing and it works. All right, well, let us know if you have any other questions. Go ahead and drop those in there. We need to move on to something else, though. Talking about CES and the technology that we saw down there, and what you're going to be able to see this year, what you can actually buy in 2017, and we're curious what you guys are excited about. If there's something that you saw or you want to see more of, maybe this is the year you finally get into this. And one of the probably most impressive things that we did see was the LG wallpaper OLED television. And Caleb, you saw this. There's a whole video that's actually at digitaltrends.com where you can take a look at that. It's pretty impressive.
It is. It was the talk of the show for a lot of people.
Yeah.
TVs always are a huge hit at CES, and the wallpaper OLED was definitely one of the biggest. So imagine like hanging your TV like a poster. That's pretty much what it is. There's a little mount that you do put up on the wall. A couple of screws holds it up. This thing is super light and ridiculously thin, less than 0.2 of an inch. All right, and that's with the mount. That's with the mount, right? So it uses a couple little keyhole style deals on the back that sort of help lock it in place, and then it's held against the wall with magnets. And it is, I mean, it's almost part of your wall, which is why they call it wallpaper. And the trick to doing this really was just pulling the hardware out of the TV, putting it on a sort of a non-glass substrate, and so it is a little bit flexible, just a little bit. But yeah, they pulled all the hardware out. They stuck it in a big Dolby Atmos soundbar, which you can see below the TV in the video if you're watching live right now. And there's just a single ribbon that goes up to the TV. It provides the power it needs and the video signal, and that's it. You plug everything into the soundbar. Now, I wish that they had not put it in a soundbar. That was my one knock against the thing. When I had to decide, okay, who had the best TV at CES or what was the best video product at CES, I lost sleep over this, going back and forth between Sony's amazing implementation of OLED or was it the wallpaper OLED? And I think a lot of people are like, you're nuts. How could you not pick the wallpaper OLED? I'll tell you why. Because not everybody has a piece of entertainment furniture that can accommodate a soundbar like that. It's required that you have it in a soundbar like that. Mm-hmm. Most people, I mean, look, you've got this amazing, gorgeous thing up on the wall, but then you just displaced it and put it in a big old soundbar. Like if they had put it in just a box, which you could hide in a closet, like a lot of high-end installs do, you just put all your equipment in a closet, you never see it. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been a smart idea, or at least have it be an option, right? But the fact that the only option is the in the soundbar approach, it seems kind of rushed. Like I was in South Korea with Rich and our editor-in-chief, Jeremy. We saw this, right? We saw the wallpaper version, but they hadn't decided what to do with the hardware at that point. And this was in early November.
Yeah.
So they basically had 2 months to figure something out. And I'm impressed that they put it in a really good functioning Dolby Atmos soundbar.
So they really didn't know which way they were going to go 2 months ago.
Either they didn't know or they weren't willing to show us or they hadn't put it together yet. I think 2 months is pretty quick to just suddenly to decide, hey, we'll put it in a soundbar. Let's make up a soundbar.
Right.
But yeah, the cool thing about wallpaper OLED is that it's not a flight of fancy. This is going to start selling. You can actually pre-order it right now on Best Buy for $8,000. Yes, it's expensive. Bear in mind, though, the first 4K TVs were $25,000. So, you know, in the grand scheme of things, for a groundbreaking TV, it's not that bad. But you can pre-order it now and expect to receive one somewhere around March or April, presuming they haven't had so many pre-orders that they're having to push that date back a little bit. But what the point is, they're making them. It's a real thing. You can buy it and own it this year.
Holy crap.
Yeah, that's and this is something that we've kind of been talking about, or seems like it's been promised for a long time. There's always that dream of having the super thin OLED television
ever
that
since
you could just
the flat
slap
panel.
it on. Yeah,
yeah, we got the flat panel TV, and everybody's been trying to get it thinner and thinner and thinner. There, it is that concept that we have in our head that the TV should be nothing more than like a piece of paper you just roll up on your wall.
Right.
And we're closer to it than ever before.
I mean, and it seems like maybe that's where it's going. Courtney on YouTube just says, I want the wallpaper OLED TV.
Right?
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not at $8,000, but if somebody were to give me one, yeah, sure.
Wouldn't complain.
I'll take it, yeah. If you need a test one.
Meanwhile, think of all their other like normal OLED televisions, which are still stunning.
Yeah.
That mount pretty flat to the wall themselves. They're coming down in price, and I mean, we haven't heard what the prices are, but I think that their standard flat. Well, they don't make a curved OLED anymore, by the way. LG gave up on curved entirely.
Wow.
Yeah, they backpedaled that. Samsung's still pushing it, but they're the only ones, pretty much. Anyway, I think that we're going to see some surprisingly low entering prices on the new OLEDs. And then when we're moving towards the holiday season at the end of this year, like I think that's when OLED is going to hit big. I think a lot of people are going to start buying them because they just won't be that expensive.
And that's what I was kind of wondering. Yeah, for 2017, looking forward, now that we know, the wallpaper's coming out, that's probably not going to drop too much in price.
No. The wallpaper will stay up there. But I would love to see a 55-inch OLED TV, 4K HDR, all the goodies, $1,500.
You think that'll happen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to cross my fingers though.
Okay, but it's not that far off, even if it doesn't happen by the end of this year.
We're already getting down to $2,500, $2,000 for something like that. So yeah, I think it's not a stretch to say that we're going to be looking at some seriously low prices. Maybe $1,700, which is still a lot of money, but I mean for these super high-end flagship TVs
that are going to last for a long time.
That's nothing. People are spending $3,500 on that kind of stuff right now for technology that's not even as good.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah, that's true. Taking a look here in the chat. Okay, Paul says AR will start coming in stronger for this year. Definitely, we can talk about that here in a second too. Just bring that up. Let's see. For the 90s people on back, how many people actually keep buying TVs? I want 8K. Christopher wants 8K.
You know what? 8K is coming. Japan's testing it right now, like broadcast standards. They're recording the next Olympics in 8K. 8K is coming around the corner. But the thing is, like we talked about this, 4K below 50 inches really isn't that valuable. And pretty soon it won't matter anymore because every TV will be a 4K TV. But 8K really doesn't make sense until you start getting into the super large displays. And at this point, I would like to welcome Holly. Hi, Holly. Thanks
Joining us now.
Pop-in podcast.
On Trends with Benefits. I was just going to have you walk in and not ever announce you. Just have you sit there, not say a word, and then just walk about it. Right
I'm
out.
excited to hear from Holly, though, because it was Holly's first time
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
at CES.
Forgot about that.
And so if you're tuning in now, that's kind of what we're talking about. It's tech trends for 2017 and recapping what we saw at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show earlier this year, and what you're going to be able to see the rest of this year, what you could actually buy and get your hands on now. And please put your comments in there too if there's something you're excited about. I know AR was mentioned, but whatever else this is this year that you're wanting to see. And we have right now joining us Holly. So Holly came down to CES first time. And what were your thoughts of the Consumer Electronics Show?
It was huge.
It is enormous.
And I didn't even see a quarter of one, like, Tech East, is that?
Over at the
convention?
LVCC.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for anybody who doesn't know, it's at the Las Vegas Convention Center, so I think it's
Part of it is, anyway.
part of it. Yeah, and then it's beyond that too. What did they estimate? Like 180,000 people or
Probably
somewhere
close
in
to that this year.
Yeah, that show up for this, and that's just industry. But it is so packed, and everybody leaves sick because you're surrounded by all of these random people, and so leaving there is just the airports
Just a
are
petri
disease filled. Yeah, so we're all sick.
The
but we're getting
bathrooms
over
at
that.
CES, when you walk
Oh,
in,
I
you
don't even
know,
want it.
you're getting sick. There's no escaping.
The best part, though, and multiple people had talked about this, is how there were lines for the men's bathroom and not for the women. And it didn't even click in my mind why that happened. And so it was kind of like,
Because CES
retribution.
is a gigantic sausage fest. Is what it is. It is the world's largest sausage fest. And I don't miss it when I leave.
It is. It's one of those things. I mean, it's great to go down there and see everything. But yeah, it's about 5 days of it. And then you add on a couple when you get stuck there because of snow. It's a lot. You're ready to go at that point. But yeah, so this was your first time. You walked around, you checked stuff out. What were a couple of things that maybe stood out for you from CES?
The RV with the helicopter on top that could be retracted in so you could drive around with your helicopter, and the hot tub that also drained back into the RV so you could travel with your hot tub and helicopter.
Where was this?
Oh. There's a
Yeah.
video. There's a video on Digital Trends Facebook page that you can check out because Holly and I went and did a whole tour of it. It's amazing. Yeah, Fury on. I want that thing so bad.
That's the crazy thing is that, like, Drew and I spent 5 days, and I swear to God, 15 miles a day of walking. Yeah. And we still didn't see a freaking RV with a chopper on it. I knew it was there, but I never saw it.
I went there 3 times while we were there. Yeah, it wasn't very far away. Yeah, it had there. Like I should have pulled some of the video of this, but yeah, helicopter on the back, hot tub, everything was just touchscreen display panels, fireplace.
This must have been in
wine
South Hall
rack.
or something,
It was
right?
right
Yeah, it was in
next to our
South Hall.
booth.
Yeah,
But they
Yeah.
built it with James Bond in mind. They're like, if James Bond had an RV, like, how would he roll? And
James Bond had an RV.
that's how
What
they
a silly
designed it.
question.
And that's some of the crazy things you see at CES and seeing like the tech advance this much, and especially like crossing over into vehicles like that. And you know, this RV, and you can look it up. They said that one's custom made. They wouldn't even say the price on it. Like if you have to ask, you cannot afford that thing. Who knows if you can get that? But it's there.
Wasn't there a Honda motorcycle that was holding itself up?
Self-balancing, yeah.
Self-balancing
I didn't see
gyroscopically or something like that?
Yeah.
So much cool stuff there. And we don't even, no one person is going to go and see it all.
You could spend an entire week there and just be in one little quarter of the
Yep.
show floor. Like I spent my
That's
whole time at
basically
like
what
the
I did.
Sands Expo. Barely even got into the other
The
halls. It took
Sands
me
and the
5 days.
Venetian are their own, like, independent conventions within a convention. It's
They need to
huge.
split it up.
Yeah.
Need to do summer CES
Yeah.
again.
I agree.
Yeah, go back down there
That's
again.
guess we have to do it
Traveling
twice.
between the two is
Yeah.
such a hard
Well,
thing.
And moving on here, just for everybody who's tuning in, not moving on, but continuing this conversation, talking about CES and tech for 2017 and what you can possibly buy. Again, keep putting your comments in there, and we'll see what you guys think, what you're interested in. But actually, let's talk about the vehicle side. We're in an order here, so we'll talk about Amazon. Amazon Alexa was everywhere. That is something that really stood out for me from CES.
Told you so.
Yeah, you did.
I just take this
Caleb
moment.
was the early
I told
adopter.
I told you it was going to be like this.
Like
No,
skip back like 20 podcast episodes, and it'll probably be Caleb talking about how
Alexa.
I'll find it and pull that clip and they play it in here. But yeah, you did. You said Alexa was going to be huge.
Well, the handwriting was on the wall. To be fair,
Yeah.
we went to IFA. We kind of started seeing that happen. Went to CEDIA, which is this custom design and installation association that does like really high-end connected homes and stuff like that. Alexa was already everywhere. It just made sense that CES would be an extension of that. Everybody wants in on it. And it's a credit to Amazon because they made Alexa open. They handed it out to everybody.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like, great, we'll go ahead and use that, And yeah, it's taking over, but it's also causing people to ask questions that have been asked before, but they're asking them really hard right now just because Alexa is so popular. They're starting to be like, what are you doing with all the things I say in my home? And
Yeah.
are you going to give the authorities access to this? And, can records be subpoenaed? And I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, and we definitely need to do something about it. Not so sure about the current administration and how they're going to handle it. I'm not trying to get political. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like it's really high up on anybody's radar
Obama's
right
still
now.
president right now, so I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, Alexa is kind of getting incorporated into everything, and I adopted it this year because I was gifted one. I wasn't going to be a person who bought that just for that reason. I'm like, I don't want something recording everything I'm saying, or potentially, even though that's not really doing it. I got it, and I love it, and it's being noted because sometimes I yell at it. I talked about that. Like, I'll yell at Alexa if she doesn't play the song that I meant to. It sounds terrible. But it's and now being incorporated into all of these other products and being worked with other things. There's a bunch of cars that are incorporating. I think Ford actually was the one. I could be mistaken on that, but one of the major manufacturers is going to have Alexa in there. A lot of the startup companies were using it. There was this one guy who pitched me about having these earbuds that were Bluetooth but had Alexa in them. Somehow his big selling point was that you could take Alexa with you everywhere you go, so you can always talk to it. So you look like a crazy person on the street talking to yourself because they're just tiny little earbuds. But I mean, everybody's trying to incorporate this, and it's something that Amazon did really, really well. Like, Amazon's going to take over the world, and this year is their year, I think.
It's going to be a big year for them.
Yeah.
I think if they get their drone delivery service happening, and then they're going to expand Alexa, and they're moving in some interesting directions.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on just Amazon in general.
Talking about new tech, Jack says flip phones are making a comeback. Which
Yes,
is
they
true.
are. Totally.
So weird. Why? Why are they making a comeback?
I think they'll be a little cooler than the flip phones that we had before. We've got an article at Digital Trends about that. LG looks to be going in a new direction with phones, and it's kind of like a flip phone.
Let's see. Chris is asking, just back to the Alexa thing really quick, is Google Home that far behind?
No, actually, in a lot of ways, Google Home is more advanced
Okay.
in terms of AI. Alexa is very easy to use. It can do a lot of practical things, and it works with a lot of stuff because it's been out there and open to people for longer. But Google Home is very close. I think it's a race, really. We'll see what happens, but Google Home can answer questions Alexa can't because it's got the power of Google behind it.
That's true. So we'll see where that goes. But right now, Alexa definitely has got the jump ahead as far as.
Lots and lots of people can implement it. They've been able to work on it for a while.
One other thing, and just we're starting to run out of time here, but again, if you do have anything that you want to bring up that you're excited about for this year, like flip phones, drop those in the chat and in YouTube or on Facebook, or if you're listening to the podcast version, you can always leave it a comment on the page or send us an email. But the other thing that's increasingly become so intertwined is the automobile industry and how much a part of CES it is. I mean, it's basically become a whole new subset.
From zero to hero, as far as CES goes. There used to be no car, anything. And now there's an entire car pavilion. Yep. Like, our car guys are actually busy down there now. It used to be they'd go down. Well, no, to be fair, we've had some car editors go down there and, like, they spent half a day working and twiddled their thumbs after that because there just wasn't that much for them to attack in the car work. Now, our car guys are busy, trying to document all of these advances in autonomous driving, connected vehicles, the infotainment systems that go into them, heads-up displays. I mean, it's unreal.
Yeah, how much is, and I mean, a lot of it with, we did bring up like Alexa coming in, but the autonomous side of it, which this year, I mean, it's just got to keep increasing, I would imagine, because everybody's trying to do it. Even Amazon took out I believe it took out a patent on an autonomous vehicle of their own, which makes sense because they're trying to do the drone deliveries, and I'm sure they want some self-driving truck. That's
Did you guys get a chance to check out the Faraday Future thing?
No.
Heavily promoted. We have a big feature on that on our site, and it is one seriously badass electric vehicle. You'll have to go read up on that. We could probably talk about that all day. But that was another biggie at the show. There are a lot of advertising behind that, a lot of hype going into the show for it. And our guys thought there were some impractical aspects, but they still say it's pretty badass.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something to look forward to this year of how that's going to work. Just final couple of comments here. Juan is in the chat. Juan was my roommate at the DT house. Sorry I snored, dude. He says he has Google Home and not Alexa. So Juan's going straight Google Home on that.
Yep.
All right. There we go. Well,
he's the one.
He's the one. Well, all right. Just to kind of wrap up here and talk about what to look forward to in tech. I don't even know what that means.
It was enough to get an eye roll out of Holly, so I consider it a success for sure.
Final thing: if you could get one piece of tech this year, what do you want to see happen?
3D printed pizza.
3D printed pizza.
3D printers were they even on the radar this year?
Okay, so the thing about 3D printers, if we can extend our time a little bit.
Sure.
So, they've always had a presence at CES, and, they've always, it's been sort of exciting, but nothing major. I think the big thing this year was they got cheap. I saw a 3D printer that cost $150, and it wasn't just like a Kickstarter project that's never going to be delivered. It was a 3D printer that you can buy that prints good parts for $150.
And it was big, right? It wasn't like a little
Yeah,
baby.
it was a decent size. So I think that's the thing. It's been slow going with 3D printing forever, and I think it's going to continue that way. But you know what? They're getting cheap.
Yeah.
So pretty soon, I mean, right now they're cheaper than you can get one for less than the cost of an iPod Nano, which is a pretty big deal. So I think, in the coming years, maybe not 2017, but maybe, by the time 2020 comes around, they're going to be everywhere. They're going to be super accessible, and you're going to be able to, have one in your home and use it like you would like a toaster or a answering machine or whatever.
And make yourself that pizza.
Commoditization of 3D printers.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't get headlines when you get less expensive, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's not how CES works.
That is true.
But
Holly,
it's good to know they were still there.
What would you want other than the RV? Which, I mean, it's hard not to want the RV. I want the RV too. But.
I didn't get to see enough of the show that I wish I had. I thought I had all of Sunday, but I was at the booth instead. But I don't know if it's tech that I want, but I saw this whole fleet of little robots with screens in them with the people all over the country. And you walk by, like, is that a real person? And they're like, hi, I can see you. So that was really cool. They're just rolling
weird.
around on the floor.
That kind of ties in with what Christopher's saying, a robot butler.
Wait. I changed my mind. Swagtron, the surfboard.
Oh, that thing was cool. Yes.
I totally missed it.
It was like it's kind of like a stand-up paddleboard, only it was like a hoverboard. And yeah, it had a motor in it that you drop in. You can go, I think, 14 miles an hour, and it take it on anything, any kind of water, and drop it in there.
Sounds fun as hell.
I was trying to get them to send in one, and I need to hook them up with you. Although I want to go if that happens too.
We have to have a video of Drew falling off of
Yeah,
this.
pretty much any kind of
told them.
rideable tech, I will fall off of, I guarantee it.
Yeah, Swagtron, that thing was really cool. Leonardo's excited for 3D audio. How does 3D audio exactly? Okay, I'm gonna leave that we'll leave that. Leonardo, I'm glad you're excited about it. Whatever else people want to say, go ahead and drop those comments in there. I think we probably need to wrap up. I want a jetpack, and I think we're getting closer to actually having a jetpack because there is that company that actually did create one. I think DT got a giveaway to go ride on it. Did that already happen?
Yeah, the giveaway's over. Winner was chosen. Jetpack Aviation in California.
And so that'll happen at some point. That person's going to get to go.
Yeah, it's coming up. They're going to fly them out, and they'll be the first civilian to ride or use a jetpack.
If you want to back out and you need a replacement, please let me know because I want to do that. But yeah, that's what I'm hoping that happens. But anyway, it's going to be an exciting year, definitely in technology. A lot of huge advancements I think are going to happen this year. And there's so many other topics we didn't even get to, but that's why we do this show every week. So we're live on Facebook and YouTube at 2:30 p.m. Pacific time every Thursday, and then also available as an audio podcast. You can subscribe at iTunes or Stitcher. We've got all the back posts at digitaltrends.com or on those outlets as well. So tune in, take a look at that. If you have a comment or question, send an email to podcast@digitaltrends.com. And thanks everybody for tuning in today. We'll be back next week with another episode.
Or you can just roll in whenever you feel like it.
Or do that.
Just pop on in for the Pop In podcast.